Hello, and welcome back to Classic Song Reviews. I am the man, or the middle-aged nerd if you simply must. As you know, today's music is both morally and artistically bankrupt. In this show, we harken back to a purer time when music was excellent and lyrics were meaningful. Today, we examine a song that jumped to number 3 on the charts in September of 1965. It was the biggest hit for a group called We Five. The song is called You Were On My Mind. Let's give it a listen, shall we?
You were on my mind.
A bit vague. Is this a tender love song? You were on my mind because we're happy together? Or is it a song of tragic loss? You were on my mind because we're apart and I miss you terribly. Either way, the song expresses a fairly common sentiment of the time period. The object of the person's adoration is the first thing that comes to mind upon waking. Let's continue.
And you were on my mind.
I don't mean to be overly critical, but we have a bit of a grammatical problem here. You see, in the English language, the conjunction and denotes that what follows is additional information, not a repeat of information already stated. Hence we might have something like, you were on my mind and I was hungry, or perhaps you were on my mind and I had a pressing need to urinate. Forgive my use of such a vulgarism. I hope my unguarded statement didn't offend anyone. That particular problem afflicts any number of men of my age range, and proper grammar would say, you were on my mind. That is to say, you were on my mind. Let's try it that way.
You were on my mind.
That is to say,
You were on my mind.
it might call for a bit of rhythmic restructuring, but good grammar is worth the effort.
I got troubles, oh, I got worries, oh, I got wounds to bind.
Once again, we have a problem as regards grammar. Got, you see, is the past tense of get. So when the song says, I got troubles, it actually means I came into possession of troubles and the other emotional turmoils described in the song. The correct way to say this is, I have troubles, I have worries, and so forth. A somewhat less refined way of saying it would be, I have got troubles, and so on, using the common English contraction to reduce it to, I've got troubles. But this is a much less cultured way of speaking. Either way, the grammar of the statements is in conflict with what I perceive to be the actual meaning of the clauses in question. Keep this in mind, songwriters. Good grammar leads to good communication.
So I went to the corner just to ease my pain, just to ease my pain.
Once again, we have the blatant misuse of the conjunction and. But this line raises another question. What was on the corner that presumably eased the speaker's pain.
Down on the corner, out in the street, playing the for the band, bringing it up happy beat.
Unlikely.
A dealer for a little child, he'll sell you lots of sweet dreams.
Frightening, but a bit more likely perhaps. Pressing on.
I got trouble. I got worried. I came home again.
Here we see precisely what I was talking about before. Grammatically, this statement seems to be saying that this person went to the corner to ease her pain, acquired all this trouble and worry, and then came home again. It may very well be that this trip to the corner had a result opposite to what was intended. Such things are difficult to determine given the vague lyrics presented to us here. This song is actually a cover of an earlier country song by a duo named Ian and Sylvia. Perhaps their rendition can clear this matter up a bit.
I got drunk and I got sick and I came home again.
I must learn to stop asking so many questions. Please play the next segment.
But I woke up this morning, you were on my mind, and you were on my mind.
Nice use of dynamics! And we begin to hear some complex harmonies that give the song an extra measure of musical depth. Notice that the instrumental accompaniment has increased in volume as well. However, I seem to hear some instruments that I do not actually see on the screen. Let's examine the band and see what we have. We have an electric guitar, another electric guitar, an acoustic guitar, a bass guitar, and a pair of lungs. But I know that I'm hearing percussive instrumentation as well. Yet I see no one playing anything resembling drums. The group originally used session or studio drummers to record their songs. They added an ad hoc drummer when they went on tour, but a drummer was never part of the regular band lineup throughout their entire history. Most unusual. However, I suppose as long as the session drummers or ad hoc drummers were amenable to the arrangement, it was their prerogative, and it certainly is not my place to say otherwise. Let's move on.
I got trouble, I got worry, I got food to buy, I got a feeling.
Excellent modulation! What does modulation mean? It refers to a change of key. Are we clear on that now? Good. This multi-part harmony continues even after the key change. This musical excitement tends to compensate for the lack of lyrical depth. Although we have hit upon some new information about the feeling in question, so it may be that we are finally prepared to move forward lyrically into some new and interesting territory.
I got a feeling down
not improved. We are still misusing the conjunction. To compound the problem, we have now attributed physical characteristics to a non-physical entity. A feeling has no specific location because it is an emotion, not something corporeal. Thus, it cannot be anywhere, much less in someone's shoes. But even supposing such a thing were possible, there would be little, if any, room for a feeling in the person's shoes, since the shoes are presumably occupied by the speaker's feet. Thus, this statement has no discernible meaning, and I have been informed that the language here is poetic and uses a particular figure of speech known as synecdoche. The implication is that this feeling permeates the singer's entire being all the way down to her feet, and thus can be described as down in my shoes. I do apologize. One as literate as I should never make such a mistake. Next segment, please. How does Rambo have anything to do with this? The word is actually ramble. This is going rather poorly. I believe the original question has now been answered satisfactorily. The singer went to the corner to ease her pain and now says she needs to take a walk to rid herself of these blues. It would seem that the statement, "When I woke up this morning, you were on my mind," speaks of a sense of loss and refers to the absence of the object of the singer's affections. At least we have been able to clear that up, even if we have not been able to clear up the atrocious grammar used in this song.
I woke up this morning, you were on my mind.
Ah, delightful use of the subito pianissimo. What the... I shall not read that word. Does that mean? I am surrounded by uncultured underlings. Subito pianissimo means suddenly quiet. Notice how the volume went from loud and forceful to soft in the space of a single beat. That is subito pianissimo, and it was beautiful. In fact, let me hear that transition in its entirety.
I gotta walk away from my blues. When I woke up this morning, you were on my mind, and you were on my mind.
Note the seamless transition from singing in unison to singing in harmony, coupled with the gentle crescendo that continues despite the continued subpar grammar.
Hey, I got road, I got I got
On the positive side, this song has soaringly beautiful harmonies, a strong but not overpowering beat, and an excellent blend of instruments and voices. However, the consistent misuse of the word and, the improper tense inherent in the word got, and the vagaries of having feelings in someone's shoes lead me to an important and unfortunate conclusion. We listened to some stuff that butchered the English language.
She don't even wonder, cause she knows she bad. And I got a grocery bag.
And clearly, we are not alone. Once again, we have a problem with puberty. A somewhat less refined? Yeah. Notice that the instrumental accompaniment, and the dog is making a lot of noise, lends an extra depth to the song and compensates unison to singing in harmony, coupled with the gentle crescendo that does something I can't remember what the line says.